In 2009, I had a vision. Something inside of me tapped me on the shoulder and said, Prescott College needs to meet the world of coaching. You see, I graduated from Prescott in 2008, and Prescott's emphasis on social justice and sustainability really mirrored the positive impact the coaching world was having. After arguing with my inner prompting that I didn't have time, yada, 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 I mustered up the courage to approach the president and pitch the idea. Well, the president loved it and put me in touch with the director, Cheryl, who had been considering starting a coaching program for the college anyway. So conversations began. In 2011, a group of successful coaches and I convened at Prescott College's Tucson Center, and we answered the question, what key things were missing from the coaching programs that we attended? We took those answers and launched a fully comprehensive ICF program. In 2012, we ran our first cohort and started down the accreditation path. We got rave reviews from our attendees, which we were thrilled about. So in 2014, private colleges began going out of business. Prescott felt the crunch and cut back all extra programs except ours. And I thought, we're safe. Yet the tap on the shoulder came back, and this time with a message. It said, you will be the Institute of Integrative Coach Training. Again, I argued back, no, we're good with Prescott. We're fine. But in 2015, I got the call. We're so sorry, we can't afford to keep the coaching program on after all. Since you've been with the program since its inception, take it and keep it going. By this point, I was overseeing the program and I was in a position to take it private. So to my surprise, in 2016, the LLC was formed and we became the Institute for Integrative Coach Training. It turned out that going private was a huge blessing for the mission that we had started. We had no more red tape to navigate around and we're able to up-level our student experience even further. To date, we have served over 150 students. We have a 100% first-time pass rate on the ICF credentialing exam. We have a 97% pass rate for our PCC performance evaluation. And we are now global leaders in coaching through the lens of integrative intelligence. But how did we get there? Well, in 2018, the growing need for integrative intelligence tapped me on the shoulder. While many people grew up happy, I actually grew up appalled. I've always had the gift and the burden of seeing what other people can't or won't. I saw how leaders were largely corrupt or just disintegrated. I saw how people were often miserable when they went to work. I saw that large corporations were trashing the environment in unsustainable ways that had me question, how long did humanity have left? And I saw the racial and political divides just completely widening. And why? Why were all these things happening when we could be doing so much better in humanity? Well, I discovered that these things and more are happening because humanity has been living through a linear lens. We have yet to understand that wisdom of seeing how everything, whether we want to believe it or not, is interconnected. And this wisdom is integrative intelligence. This realization prompted a life review for me. I did the math and I found a missing link. Since 1993, I've worked with 16 bosses and leaders. And get this, 12 out of 16 were horrible to work with or for. 3 of them were neutral. Only 2 of the 16 were outstanding and left a positive imprint on my life. Only 2. This, my friends, need not be. This is a missing link. When I was in my 30s, I learned adventure climbing. Adventure climbing is unique. In sports climbing, you have a set established route, but in adventure climbing, you see a mountain or rock face and you figure out the route. In this form of climbing, there's what we call false summits. A false summit is when you perceive and believe you're at the top only to find out there's still more. Ironically, my climbing adventures prompted this realization within me that we're collectively living at a massive false summit. All of the trips to the moon, the research on what frog grows backwards and how far 5G radiation tower can go means nothing until we learn to see integratively. Why? Because of truth. The one thing that exists in the world of relativity without an opposite. What is a web of connections and interrelatedness, often beyond human comprehension or computer computations. Humans seem to default to compartmentalization and linear thinking, missing life's fullness, and it takes conscious effort to perceive the integration that exists around us and within us. The majority of problems humanity currently faces are not of one pitting good against evil. The major problems that humanity faces stem from bias, evil being the most extreme form of bias that can exist. A bias is as strong as it is linear. The less linear, the less the bias has a grip. So, had we developed and adopted integrative intelligence decades ago, we would not be facing the man-made large-scale impacts that we're facing today globally. The wisdom that's born from seeing the interconnected nature of all things has the potential to eradicate racism, empower leaders to lead from the heart, loosen the grip of greed, create systems that are sustainable and mission-driven. Integrative intelligence has the power to transform the world for the better. And guess what? Coaches already know this and are doing this. They may not know it formally or have words for it, but this is what the coaching world is doing. Coaches are helping people, companies, and leaders connect the dots. So in 2019, I asked my inner guide, why didn't integrative intelligence come to me sooner? It really boggled me. The answer I got, you couldn't hear it then. It was too big. So how big? It's a missing link in how humanity is approaching life. If everything in the world is interconnected, then the problem is that we're collectively operating as if it's not. And as long as we continue to live and lead in our bias, we will see cancer continue to rise, we will see racial and political divides thicken, and we will see global catastrophes expand. These are simply natural consequences of putting blinders on to the true interconnected nature of all things. But the good news is this need not be. The time of linear thinking and linear solutions has run its course. The time to pivot has come. Linear approaches have brought us this far, and now we can pivot into our true greatness in humanity. We can see and reach the true summit of human potential. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to leave the false summit behind. The Native Americans knew and lived with deep affinity and respect for interconnectivity. Chief Seattle is quoted for his indigenous wisdom, teaching us, quote, humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves, unquote. Krishnamurti, teacher and philosopher, also contributed the thought, quote, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society, unquote. These deeper realizations prompted action within me. This brings us to 2019. In 2019, I applied for and was granted a federally registered trademark for integrative intelligence in coaching. In 2021, we up-leveled and officially became the Institute for Integrative Intelligence to match the vision of how big this is. The vision of living in a world where the script is flipped. Leaders are integrated, not ego-driven. Companies place people before profit and still make their millions. Companies produce sustainable products from the beginning, and as Simon Sinek puts it, where people are playing in the affinity game. As Brene Brown puts it, where people are living through their wholeness. This vision is the heart of integration, possibility, and wisdom. This vision is why the Institute is here. If this mission ignites something in your heart, I hope you will join us as a coach that is excited about flipping the script.